The first thing you notice isn't the badge. It isn't the grille. It isn't even the price. It's the silence in the room when the 2026 Mercedes Maybach GLS 600 rolls into view. Not the kind of silence that comes from boredom. The kind that comes from expectation. The kind that says everyone here thinks they already know what this is, and they're waiting to be proven right. I've covered Maybachs for years. I've watched them evolve from statements of wealth into moving sanctuaries. So when this one glides under the lights, two-tone paint split with surgical precision, chrome catching every angle, I'm not looking for flash. I'm looking for intent. The vertical bar grille feels taller, more deliberate. The Maybach emblem isn't just stamped on the hood, it feels planted there, like a flag. The 23-inch wheels are polished to the point of absurdity, but somehow they don't shout. They whisper, and that whisper is controlled. But here's the question no one wants to ask out loud. How do you improve something that already isolates you from the world? The doors close with that signature weighted hush. Not a slam. Not a click. A soft compression of reality. Inside, the cabin doesn't overwhelm you. It absorbs you. White Napa leather stitched so tightly it almost looks poured. Open pore wood that doesn't shine. It breathes. Ambient lighting. Layered, not bright. The rear seats sit there like thrones, pretending to be chairs. Heated, ventilated, massaging, reclining to angles that feel almost excessive, and yet something feels different. When the engine starts, you expect ceremony. A growl? A statement? Instead, the 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 with EQ boost clears its throat and settles into near invisibility. It's not quiet in a timid way. It's quiet in a calculated way. The mild hybrid system smooths the initial surge so cleanly that you barely register ignition. It doesn't announce power. It conceals it, and that changes the entire tone. Because this isn't a car begging to be heard. It's a car that assumes you don't need to prove anything anymore. Walking the exterior again, details begin revealing themselves slowly. The chrome along the lower body isn't decorative. It elongates the silhouette. The Maybach badging on the D-pillars is subtle enough that only those who know will notice. Even the running boards deploy with restrained choreography. No theatrics, just precision. But none of that compares to what happens when you close your eyes inside it. The Burmester 4D surround sound system activates. And this is where the story becomes impossible to ignore. The speakers don't just play music, they press it into the seats. The bass vibrates through the cushions, not aggressively, but intimately. It's less like attending a concert and more like being inside the instrument. The insulation is so complete that outside noise feels theoretical. Traffic becomes a rumor. Wind becomes an idea. Luxury used to mean adding more. More leather, more chrome, more power. This feels like subtraction. Removing friction, removing strain, removing noise. The steering is featherlight at low speeds, but weighted just enough at highway pace to remind you there's engineering beneath the elegance. The air suspension reads the road before you do. You don't feel bumps. You feel transitions. But here's where it gets complicated. There's a moment, mid-drive, when you realize the GLS 600 doesn't want to thrill you. It wants to distance you. The acceleration is strong, 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, but it arrives without drama. No violent shove. No theatrical soundtrack. Just a seamless forward motion, like gravity tilted slightly in your favor. And I catch myself missing something, not because it's absent, but because it's intentionally muted. Maybach used to feel like excess made visible. This feels like control made invisible. Even the digital displays inside follow that philosophy. The dual 12.3-inch screens are crisp, but they don't dominate your field of view. The interface flows. The rear entertainment screens sit perfectly aligned, not as distractions, but as extensions of space. Then you recline in the back, and everything changes. The seat extends beneath your legs. The calf support rises. A warm stone massage function begins pressing rhythmically along your spine. The champagne flutes rest in silver holders that don't rattle. The panoramic roof above filters light in a way that softens the cabin instead of spotlighting it. This isn't about driving anymore. It's about detachment. At a red light, I look around at other SUVs. Some are louder. Some are sharper. Some are trying harder. The Maybach GLS 600 doesn't compete. It opts out. And that's the shift. The exterior design isn't radical because it doesn't need to be. The sound isn't aggressive because it doesn't need validation. The interior isn't futuristic for the sake of attention. It's deliberate, layered, patient. You don't buy this to be seen. You buy this to feel untouched. By the time the drive ends, I'm not questioning whether it's luxurious enough. I'm questioning whether luxury itself has changed definitions. The 2026 Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600 doesn't chase applause. It assumes arrival. It doesn't roar. It murmurs. It doesn't demand presence. It commands absence. Absence of noise, absence of stress, absence of intrusion. And maybe that's the real evolution, because in a world obsessed with being louder, faster, more visible, this might be the most radical thing Mercedes could have done, make power feel quiet. So now the real question isn't whether the GLS 600 is impressive, it's whether we're ready for a kind of luxury that refuses to perform for us at all. And that's the part that lingers longer than the spec sheet. Because on paper, this SUV makes sense. 600 plus horsepower from a twin-turbo V8 assisted by EQ boost, air suspension tuned to read the road hundreds of times per second. Rear axle steering to shrink something this large into something surprisingly manageable. Numbers that reassure you it belongs at the top. But numbers don't explain the feeling. Pulling back onto the highway, I ease into the throttle again. There's power. Real power. You feel the mass shift slightly backward as torque builds. Then the horizon begins to approach faster than expected. Yet there's no sharp crescendo. No mechanical theater. Just an elegant surge. It's almost unsettling how little drama accompanies that much force. You start to understand something. This vehicle isn't engineered to impress the driver. It's engineered to protect the passenger from effort. Every detail reinforces that philosophy. The steering doesn't transmit harsh textures from the asphalt. The cabin filtration system quietly manages outside air like an unseen concierge. Even the door handles extend and retract without sound, as if noise itself were considered a design flaw. And that raises a bigger question. When everything is this refined, where does character live? I park and step outside to study it again, this time without the glow of presentation lights. The two-tone paintwork feels even more intentional in natural daylight. The separation line between colors is razor straight, almost architectural. The chrome isn't flashy, it's measured. The vertical grille bars catch sunlight differently as you move, creating subtle shifts rather than bold reflections. It's not trying to seduce you instantly. It's asking you to slow down. Around back, the LED light signature stretches cleanly across the tailgate. No aggressive vents, no fake drama, just proportion and presence. The Maybach script sits understated beneath the Mercedes star, almost as if the car knows those who matter already recognize it. Inside again, I sit in the rear this time. Door closed, world gone. The active ambient lighting subtly shifts as the drive mode changes. Comfort mode feels warmer, softer. Sport sharpens the color palette slightly, but never enough to disrupt calm. The fragrance system releases a barely perceptible scent, not perfume, not air freshener, something closer to polished wood and leather. The 4D audio system hums to life again. I change the track. This time, something orchestral. Strings swell, and the seat responds with low-frequency pulses that match the tempo. It's immersive without being overwhelming. You don't hear the sound system. You inhabit it, and then it clicks. This SUV doesn't exist for excitement. It exists for insulation. The outside world can be loud, competitive, chaotic. This cabin rejects all of that. It's a moving boundary line between you and everything else. But here's the subtle twist. The more isolated you feel, the more you notice yourself. There's nothing to distract you. No engine roar, no harsh ride, no intrusive vibrations. Just space, silence, control. Luxury used to broadcast success outward. This feels internal, personal, almost private. As the sun lowers and the cabin lighting grows more pronounced, the stitched headrests catch the soft glow. The champagne compartment sits unopened, waiting for a celebration that may never need to happen. The executive seats cradle you in a way that makes time feel slower. And I realize something uncomfortable. This vehicle might not be about indulgence at all. It might be about withdrawal. Withdrawal from noise, from urgency, from proving anything to anyone. That's the transformation. The 2026 Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600 doesn't redefine power by making it louder. It redefines it by making it invisible. It doesn't redefine luxury by adding spectacle. It redefines it by subtracting friction. And that leaves you with a question that's harder than it sounds. If the ultimate symbol of success no longer needs to announce itself, what does